Standing to salute the flag, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, I forgot to get taller.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to let you know we did have an executive session. We just were discussing some personal matters. There was nothing to have a vote on, so we'll begin this meeting. Say welcome, and we'll begin with public comment. We ask that any of the residents and taxpayers in the borough or of the Sayre School District wishing to address the board about title programming or for any concern or interest properly raised in a public session. We ask that you give your name, your address, and the subject of the content which you will be addressing. It's requested that you keep your comments to about 3 minutes. Moreover, please note that comments relative to private student or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent outside of the meeting. So if there's anyone that would like to address the board at this time, you're welcome to come up to the podium.
Well, it appears that this is not working, so I'm sorry. Maybe batteries did not get put in it again.
Hi, Diane Lamanna, 815 Lee Road, Sayre. I'm here on behalf of Joey Catrini, who was a former student here. He asked me, he put a thing on Facebook and asked me if I would read what he had wrote. As many of you know, the Sayre School District has been discussing the possibility of an outsource. As much as the school board wants to push for it, I'm going to state my case as to why I believe it is the wrong decision. As many of you know, Sayre's had custodial and cafeteria crew for a vast number of years. As Diane Lamanna discussed in Monday's board meeting, these people have become valued members of our school district between staff and students alike, and are another friendly face that are seen daily in our school. If outsourced, the students and staff lose these connections, and this fact alone barely touches the impact that a decision like this could create. Consider this scenario. A faculty member arrives at school in the morning and discovers something wasn't done correctly. They submit a complaint or suggestion, and that is relayed to the corresponding crew. They realize their error and take the time to improve on these mistakes. Now, say a company comes in. These complaints quite simply become wasted breath, as a large-scale company is there to do what they were brought in for, not to pay the extra attention to detail that our staff is willing to do. These arguments barely scrape the surface of the impact outsourcing will have on not only the school district, but also the community and the families involved. But I'm going to add one point of my own. I went through both Snyder and Sayre High School and have made unforgettable connections with some of these staff members who went out of their way to make our days more enjoyable. Eventually, I was fortunate enough to be able to work with the custodial crew for a large amount of time and ended up knowing these staff members personally. I return home during breaks from college, and I always choose to return to that high school and pitch in wherever I can. If that statement didn't make any impact, take a moment and reflect on it. I choose to use my time away from school to return to my high school and work with the custodians. Sure, it's a job and I'm making money doing it. However, if it was any other job, I would not be so willing to return. It makes me happy to be able to walk back into that school, see previously mentioned friendly faces, and know that I'm part of something worth more than any paycheck, the Redskin family. If the already clear reasons aren't convincing enough, I truly hope that my story can reach those who aren't convinced, and that they will join us to fight back against this poor decision. I ask that you please take time to sign a petition and truly think about how much impact the outsource could have on not only the school district, but on the student body, the faculty, and the families involved. And he did put a petition out, and in less than 2 weeks, it has 178 signatures on it.
Thank you, Mrs. Lamanna.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to?
I don't need a microphone.
now you got now.
So Tammy Shiverdini, 101 North Hopkins Street. So I'm here on the same sentiment, same topic. And I guess my question first and foremost is, when are we going to hear some conversation, some discussion, some decision? I think that's important for all of the staff, first and foremost, as well as the taxpayers and the people at the school. As a taxpayer and a parent, to have had children go through the school, this is a very concerning topic to me. I recall when my kids were at the high school, they had a very difficult time getting teacher substitutes. There was many of times where they were in the auditorium because there was a lack of substitutes. I can only imagine now if we outsource this, how are they going to get substitutes for this? These are even lower positions, lower paid positions than what a teacher might be, and we have a very difficult time filling the substitute position. I also noticed out on the sign that we're trying to hire custodians today at probably whatever part of they are with the school. If we are having difficulty having custodians today and needing to replace, I can only imagine what that would be like trying for a third party to be trying to hire them, again, at a lower pay scale than what we would be offering in the benefits. And then I also just ask, I look at everybody here on the school board, whether you have kids in the school, you've had kids in the school, think about it from a parent perspective. Take the step back and think about it. Are you okay with having these strangers, and I say strangers because they are going to be cycling through, they're not going to be maintained. Are you going to want those strange faces that are going to be coming through all the time to be dealing with your kids? Kids need consistency, especially at the elementary school. They need consistency. To me, all of that just really is probably the most bothersome about it all. I'm a volunteer on a board that serves children, and I can't imagine having these strange faces for these kids. They come to recognize these people in the cafeteria as another family member, possibly a parent, someone that they can trust. If they're seeing different faces all the time, they're not going to come and talk to them and share something that they feel is a concern or a need, or maybe even a disclosure of some sort. I ask everybody here that's sitting at that table to stop and think about it from a parent perspective. If you have kids there now, or if you've had kids previously at the school. I don't know what type of cost savings we are looking at, but I can only imagine that it's very insignificant to the total amount of the budget. And for what the consequences are to our children, first and foremost, we are here, you're here to make sure that the kids are having a good educational experience. And that should be at the forefront of any decision that is made. This is insignificant to the full dollars of the budget. There's got to be other cost savings that could be realized if that's where we need to see some savings. So thank you for your time, and I really just ask that you really, before you make a decision, that you really stop and think about it as a parent, if you are a parent. And if you're not, if you're an aunt, you're an uncle, or you're a friend, just stop and think about it from that point of view, because we need to make sure that we're thinking of the kids. And that's what really this is all about, is the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Shevardini.
Hello,
Good evening.
I'm Melanie Setzer, and I live at 512 Mohawk Street in Sayre. I'm actually a neighbor to the elementary school. I'm also here to talk about the possible outsourcing of the custodial or the cafeteria staff. I'm not an expert by any means on outsourcing, but I was an elementary teacher for 31 years, and I think the importance of those folks cannot be underestimated. It's very important that you have very good, solid people in those positions. My concern is that if you do outsource, you're likely to lose many of your long-term employees that you currently have because wages are likely to be lowered and less benefits, and people will not be able to afford to keep the jobs they have. The district could end up with very high turnover rates in those positions, and people who certainly don't have the experience that your current employees have. I just ask that you please do not discount the value of these employees. It's not all about money. First of all, they're invested in the school district. They may be parents or grandparents, likely live in Sayre, pay taxes to Sayre. They're experienced, they're knowledgeable about the schools, the operation of the schools, the students, and the staff. They're trusted by the students and the staff. That's a big one, and I know from my own experience. They're reliable. I remember seeing the cafeteria workers passing out bagged lunches during the height of COVID. And I remember thinking, I'm working from home, they're going to work. They are available at short notice. If you need them, like for extracurricular functions and so forth, they're there. And also some of them work in other jobs for the district. They may be a crossing guard, or they may be a student van driver, something like that. So they provide more than just the one job. They may be working in other jobs. So I just would ask the board to think about the long-term effects of outsourcing. The cost benefit may not be what you think. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Setzer. Anyone else wishing to address the board at this time?
Hi, I'm Amy Chilson. I live at 2034 Pennsylvania Avenue. Once again, I did not come to speak, and it happens. We boast our school as a small school with a big heart, but somehow we're not treating our staff right now like we're giving them heart. These custodians and cafeteria staff come in here every day, and they give our students everything, but we're not giving that back to them right now. We're more concerned about $1 or $2. Who knows what this budget thing, because nobody's telling us what the difference is. I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear the discussions about it and what we're actually saving. But have you ever been in Walmart with your student when they see a cafeteria worker? It's like they see a celebrity. I had a CEO one time tell me that he was in church and he was sitting next to a cafeteria worker, and the kids came in and walked directly past him to that cafeteria person, and he's like, I felt like I was nothing, and here I am running this multi-million-dollar company, and they're the celebrity in here. Nobody cares about me sitting here. That's how our students feel. They feel loved. We should be giving them the love. And if employees feel wanted, they're going to have higher work production and less turnover of staff. If they don't feel wanted, and I'm pretty sure that they probably don't feel wanted right now. I wouldn't feel wanted if I was in their position. What's gonna make them wanna come to work every day? What's gonna make them want to give everything to our students? They treat our students like family, and we need to treat them like family. I don't understand where this is coming from, and I hope that you guys can explain that to us and make us understand if that's what the decision is.
Thank you, Mrs. Chilson. Anyone else wishing to address the board at this time?
Well, I don't know how I follow those two because they took the words right out of my mouth. I'm Robin Munn. I live at 522 Mohawk Street. I'll forget where I live even. I taught here at Snyder for 25 years. What they said is exactly on the money. And I would like you all to remember the human factor here, that there are human beings involved, not only staff, but our children that get smiles from these people that maybe they don't get very many of during their day. So I know you make tough decisions all the time, and I hope you will take extra care in this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Munn. Anyone else that would like to address the board at this time? All right, being that I believe our public comment is exhausted, I just want to give everyone a quick announcement here that there will be a public hearing coming up on April 22nd at 6:30 p.m. in the high school auditorium pertaining to the outsourcing of the custodial and/or cafeteria workers. Members of the Sarah School District community may address the board through the public comments at that time, and again, the public hearing will be set for April 22nd, 6:30 in the high school auditorium. On that note, we'll go through the consent agenda, starting with number 2, the minutes. Recommending that the board approve the minutes as presented. Also, a motion to approve a conference request as presented to the instruction. And also a motion to approve field trips requested as presented. For district volunteers, a motion to approve the district volunteers as presented. Also, a motion to approve the first reading of the Sarah Area School District's Special Education Comprehensive Plan that's being presented. Letter E, Clinical Education Experience Agreement. That's a motion to approve the Clinical Education Experience Agreement between Ms. Concordia University and the Sarah Area School District as presented. A linkage agreement, the motion to approve a letter of linkage between the Blast IU-17 and the Sarah School District for providing continuity as presented. Number 4, under athletics, motion to approve the athletics personnel as presented. Number 5, for finance, motion to approve the transfers as presented. Under letter B, the treasurer's report to be approved as presented. Also, under letter C, motion to approve the Berkheimer tax report as presented. And under letter D, the E-rate RFP, that's a motion to approve the First Light Fiber Company for internet services effective on July the 1st, 2024. The cost is less than our current provider, and E-rate funds will be used to support that purpose. Under personnel, motion to approve the district personnel requests as presented. Under letter B, uncompensated leave request for Mrs. Amanda Wagaman's request for uncompensated leave on February 27th of this year, a half day in the afternoon, February 28th of 24 for a full day, and a half day on the afternoon for March the 5th. On that, do we have any questions or comments in regards to the consent agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Being that there's no questions or comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Next on the agenda is bills to be presented at this time. We have a motion and a second to approve the bills.
Motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. And are there any questions in regards to the bills? On that note, Mrs. Rucheko.
Roll call. We'll begin with Mrs. Agnew.
Yes, except I abstain on number 1 and number 36, please.
36, did you say?
Yes.
Thank you. Mrs. Blythe?
Yes.
Mr. Haddock?
Yes.
Mr. Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Kmetz?
Yes.
Mr. Petrini?
Yes.
Mr. Ruth?
Yes.
Mr. Skirpon?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes. Now on the reports, high school principal's report, Mrs. Ely.
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple things to report about tonight. Rebecca Bellows from NTCC came to our building last Thursday. She spoke with all 11th grade students about both co-op and diversified occupations opportunities at NTCC, and these are things that these students could pursue next year. I wanted to share that Mr. Guarino and his foreign language classes recently sent cards of hope to high school students in Kansas City after the recent parade shooting that sadly took place there. So Mr. Guarino did receive an email last week in response to that package that he sent out, and so I'd like to share that with you. It says, "Good evening, Mr. Guarino. We were overwhelmed with joy and emotion when we received your package of letters and cards earlier this week. On behalf of the KCPS administrative team and our staff, I want to personally thank you and your students for your kind words and your kind thoughts. Per your recommendation, we have begun the process of delivering these letters and cards to many of our world language classes, including those at our Carver Dual Language School, Foreign Language Academy, and a few individual world language classes at other locations. There were certainly plenty to spread around. We will share with you what our classes end up doing with these cards and letters. I know a few of them already have some ideas. Thank you again to you and your students for your wonderful, positive spirits. They definitely lighten the world. Shane Bergen, Public Relations Coordinator, Kansas City Public Schools." So it was very nice that we got a response, and yeah. And lastly, the production of The Music Man will be this weekend. The show is Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 2 p.m. You can purchase tickets ahead of time online. There's a link on our Facebook page, or that day at the door. Students in grades K through 8 will enjoy a preview of the play this Thursday. So thank you to everyone who helped plan to make that happen, because there are a lot of moving parts to get all those groups of students to view it ahead of time. And that's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Ely. And I don't see Mr. Howie back
He's not here.
this evening. So, Mrs. Morrell, tell us what's going on up at Snyder.
Nothing.
Good evening.
Good evening. So yes, we will be visiting the high school this Thursday to view just a small portion of The Music Man. So thank you for the invitation, and again to everybody who helped get us over here. It was quite an undertaking, but we will make it work. Thank you to the Community Relations Committee for helping with our shenanigans on St. Patrick's Day with our kindergarten children. We certainly had a good time, and they all followed the rules and found 3 different stickers to put on their chart. So they had a great time. So again, thank you for that. It was a lot of fun. We had kindergarten registration on Friday. It was very busy. By all the comments that I heard, it was very well received and a very smooth process. If you have not registered your child for kindergarten, please call Mrs. Tammy Shedden at the administrative office, or please call the elementary school. Myself or the secretaries will be glad to help you get into the next round so your child will be ready to come to school for the first day of school. You also don't want to miss kindergarten camp that we're having this summer. It's 3 days where your child can come and get ready for kindergarten, but the packet does need to be completed before they're allowed to attend that. So please make sure that you do sign up for that. And last but not least, it wouldn't be my usual spiel time since it's scheduling time at the high school. Attention parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, if you have anything to say about the opportunity that your children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren can get those free college credits, it does pay off. Even if they don't graduate early, it certainly helps them to lighten the load, not taking 16 to 18 credits a semester and maybe only taking 12 their first year. So it is well worth it. It's a great opportunity. If you have any questions, I'm sure the guidance counselor, the school counselor at the high school, or Mrs. Ely would be glad to entertain those questions. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Morrell.
You're welcome.
And Mr. Handrick.
Good evening, everybody. Our Bataan consultant, Tara Russo, will be with us again over the next few days. She's helping support our spring math implementation, as well as our comprehensive supports and SSIP teams and grants. Speaking of spring math, obviously it's a supplemental math program that we're working through our first year. We talked about this a little bit at curriculum, but from fall to spring at Snyder, we saw an increase of 10% at students at or above instructional targets, and here at the high school we saw a bigger growth those students jumped 18%. Sorry. And finally, Mr. Howie, Dr. Belozio and I are working on reaching out to our cyber charter students to open dialogue about why they've made the choices they have as far as schooling, in the hopes that we can convince some of them to return to in-person schooling or even join our solo program so we can try to get a better handle on that. And we're just really starting with dialogues with those families to have that conversation, and even if it's, we have to look in the mirror and figure out what it is they need. So that is ongoing, and you'll have an update from one of us as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Handrick. Dr. Tejan, good evening.
Good evening. So the Connections Cafe continues to be successful with their largest sales occurring last Friday with delicious bagel sandwiches. So again, another huge thank you to Mrs. Grenza, her staff, and students for continuing to just make that run very smoothly. So the students are really learning a lot. Their skills are coming along nicely. Extended school year services for our identified population will run from June 24th through July 25th this year, so it's 5 weeks. Eligibility determinations are being made now, so families should know by mid-April if that is their child. Also, I have a grants update for you tonight. So the 2 meritorious grants that were submitted at the end of February, they have been awarded and those funds have been released for district use. So the first grant was to support mental health in the amount of $112,000. And then the second grant was to support school safety in the amount of $30,000. We are still waiting for notification regarding the competitive school safety grant. So that was the $130,000. We did utilize those funds, or hopefully we will utilize those funds to secure the school resource officer for another 2 years. And then we are also very patiently awaiting for a notification regarding the 21st Century Community Learning Center's after school program grant. Awards have been delayed by PDE, so they're hopeful to let successful grantees know by the end of March. So if we are able to secure that funding, that would allow for another 5 years of after-school programming for the 3 districts involved, Sayre, Athens, and Wyalusing. So hopefully positive news to come. And that is it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Tejan. PSBA report, I just wanted to let everyone know that I just wanted to highlight a few things on the State of Education 2024 report. According to the surveys, they say that we're still lacking statewide with students returning back to our school districts, and homeschoolers and cyber schools are still posting up some good numbers, though as far as subjects, as far as their testing in math and science and their ELAs, public schools are still scoring well better than what the cyber charters are doing right now. Staff burnout is reported to be getting better. That's good news. Also, open school positions to no openings are about 50-50 right now throughout the state. The honor roll has been revamped for board members, so new board members, if you haven't received your welcome certificate, do let me know because I can get you one. Board members will also be, they're revamping the honor roll system again. So if you've been on the board for 5, 10, or 15 years, you will be getting a certificate. And also, if you are 20 years or going on to 25 and 30, etc., you'll be getting a plaque from now on. So that's just some of the revamping that has been going on with the Pennsylvania School Board Association. And also, if any of you haven't read this yet, this is probably one of the best magazines that PSBA has published in a while, and I highly recommend that you just leaf through it, and you might find some interesting things in there that might help you along as far as your tenure here on the board. And down at the Career Center, I was down for the demonstration night, which was about 2 weeks ago. There was a huge turnout of students and families down there. I saw many people from our home district here in Sayre. The amazing thing that I really saw down there was some of the students from 2 to 3 years ago also were just wanted to go through and tour the facilities, and it was amazing to find out that these graduate students of the Northern Tier Career Center were still remembered by name by their instructors down there, and that's quite, that's saying a lot for the instructors as well as the students down there, that they do want to continue to support the Career Center. Student recognition for our students in Sayre, we do have 32 students attending, and 12 students are on the student recognition program. And one thing with the student recognition program, it's just not their achievements, but they also need to show a good attitude at school without any disciplines, and also their attendance. And we've got 3 students, Macy Brink in cosmetology, Victor Mumo in IT, and Dominic Phillips in diesel mechanics. They're the outstanding students for their sections with the highest GPA in their class. So congratulations to those students. Also, $3.8 million budget for the 24-25 school year was accepted. Around $1.2 million will be coming from the state, where the local communities or the participating school districts will be paying out $2.5 million. Our share will be right around $237, almost $238, and like I said, that is about a 0.04% decrease. So we'll be saving about $17,000. But I also want to add too, I want to thank Mrs. Ely, the guidance staff, as well as Dr. Delosio. The students that will be attending the Career Center will be a record down there. Well over 40 students from our district will be attending down there, so just wanted to pass that along. Okay, last IU-17, Mrs. Agnew.
If you have any questions on the report, otherwise, that's all. Sweet.
Okay. Mrs. Agnew. Any committee chairs that would like to offer some a short report of sorts?
I have an athletics committee report that I would like to share. I don't know if it's going to be short, Ron, but here we go. Baseball and softball games begin March 22nd. I have to say I was down at Riverfront Park over the weekend, and those fields look better than they ever have. So shout out to Todd Green and crew for really making those fields look incredible. I was blown away. Both softball and baseball, for that matter. First track meet is on March 26th. Girls basketball is donating the gate of their last game to the Nancy Petrini Fund. Nick Pelicano, first team NTL basketball small school, so congratulations to him. It's a big achievement. Abby McGaughy and Zach Sinise, second team small school for basketball as well. And new football uniforms for next year have arrived, and I have to say, they look incredible. That's it.
Do you guys have anything back there for the cheer? What did they do for the last one?
What?
Oh,
In the
cheer.
in the last event, what did they do?
So they went to their last competition 2 weeks ago, and Blue, which is the younger team, took first, and then Red, which is the older team, took second, and they had probably the largest division and probably the most competitive division, and had a couple hiccups and still pulled out second place. And so I was very proud of that, because they were able to kind of push through what they needed to and make it up in all the other aspects of their routine. So that was our last competition, and then we're gonna have a couple clinics and camps and then we will open rec for next year again, and then we will open the junior Redskins program. And then get rolling with junior high and varsity and everything else, so. And hopefully we will be attending, there's a camp that a coach in Towanda set up. Usually we go to camps at like college campuses, but they're gonna set it up so it's a commuter camp. So it's gonna be in Towanda, but they're gonna come to us. And so she invited all of the NTL schools and beyond. So hopefully there will be a ton of schools that attend that, and we are hoping to get as many cheerleaders as we can. We already have at least, I would say at least 30 definites. So we will probably be fundraising for that sometime soon. And that's it.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you, Mrs. Bly, for your report. Anyone else that would like to report from their committees at this time?
Not from a committee, just want to give a big shout out to Layla going down to Pekin Estates. I know it wasn't the outcome that she had hoped for, but it's a huge accomplishment just to get to that level, and she did very well this season.
Thank you, Mr. Roof. Any others?
More than very well.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, and my board president report, may I say. Saturday, I attended the PSBA School Leadership Workshop, and I found some different things that I hope to incorporate in my tenure here as board president. And again, as I know I've heard from Mrs. Ely and many other people here around inside here, I encourage everyone to come and see the Music Man. Friday and Saturday, 7 o'clock here in this high school auditorium, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. I'll tell you what, it's always fun for me to come to the musicals here because it shows how hard work and stuff that our students put into it, our musicians, volunteers. I see a lot of volunteers out there, and I want to say thank you, and like I said, I look forward to coming to see the Music Man. I hope my board will be coming to attend as well. Again, Mr. Ruth, you stole my congratulations to Layla Bennett on her wrestling tournament, finishing tops in the States. Elvia Bennett is our high school artist student of the month here in March. Ada Mosier and Ashlyn Johnson, they were our participants of our regional spelling bee competition as well, and we're risking proud of those folks. And also, I know Odyssey of the Minds, they'll be coming up next month for the States, and we're going to wish them well as our athletes for the spring coming up as well. Dr. Delosio.
I just have a few things on my list. Over the elementary school, Dr. Seuss Week was a hit, to say the least. Loved seeing all those pictures on Facebook and visiting the classrooms and seeing the different attire and activities that your teachers had put together. As you said, kindergarten registration went very well on Friday, and we had our highest number in the sense of registration on that day at 47. And so we will be pushing out information for other students or families that might have missed it to come in and connect with Mrs. Shedden, and we'll get them registered. So we're off to a great start for next year. The shenanigans, I missed it this time, but I heard that it was a great hit, and those little leprechauns, they sure did make a mess, didn't they? And then last one, I just want to thank Mr. Handrick with his work on the math curriculum. I know we don't have one yet selected, but it's so close. But there is a group of teachers, K-12 in math, that have been working hard all year long to investigate new math programs, and they'll be bringing one forward to the board to vote on next month for purchase and selection for next year for a new math curriculum. That's the cycle that we're on. So I appreciate the work that you're doing with those teachers on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Delosio. Future meetings coming up. Our next board meeting will be on April the 8th at 7 p.m. That'll be down in the high school auditorium. Hopefully, River City will be tore down by then, which I don't will be. Also, Athletics and Recreation Committee to be held April 15th, 6:30 PM in the junior, senior high school library. And the Finance Committee will meet on April 15th at 5:30 PM. Also, well, that will be in the administration office at 5:30 PM. Once again, I just want to make an announcement that we will have the public hearing on April the 22nd at 6:30 in the Sayre High School auditorium pertaining to the outsourcing of custodial and/or cafeteria workers. Again, this is open to all Sayre School District community, and they may address the board through public comments at that time. Again, that's April 22nd, 6:30 PM in the high school auditorium.
Ron, can I jump in there? I
Absolutely.
apologize
Go ahead.
that I needed to step out of the meeting to take a call that I couldn't ignore, albeit the timing wasn't ideal. Because I wanted to comment relative to the outsourcing. We haven't had a lot of, discussion in kind of the open forum, and there's been multiple inputs that have come in over the last two meetings, which are really important to the entire process, as well as the public meeting that's coming up. While no decision has been made and the RFP responses are being reviewed, I feel compelled to respond to a public statement that was made at our last meeting. This board and the associated negotiating committee in no way, nor is it even feasible for us to take that kind of action, in no way force the association to sign our current contract. And it's also important to note that the association was presented with multiple options to maintain a critical segment of our current staff until retirement, and it was rejected. So that there's a level of frustration that exists with all of this. And the only thing I would say to the community is I certainly hope the community understands the board responsibility to take appropriate action to assess, and the assess is the important part of this, all options in balancing the needs of our students, employees, taxpayers, etc. It will be those considerations that will ultimately result in a decision, and a decision at this point that has not been made. So, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Skirpon. Any other comments from the board before we adjourn? I just want to let everyone know, first of all, thank you for those in attendance, and thank you for your comments this evening. Again, if you didn't get a chance to say what if you felt, kind of intimidated by going up to the podium, one of the things I'll be here for a couple more minutes if someone would like to come up and speak to me. So, other than that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.